All right, so this last one is going to be a really good forearm and wrist stretch. This is an amazing one because everyone needs it so much with all the phone usage and computer usage nowadays. Whenever you do it to clients, they're just amazed by how good it feels. So it seems like it's so simple, but when you really take the client through the effective stretch, it feels really good to them, and they need it. So the first one we're going to do is push the wrist backward. So now with this one, make sure you don't have the client's hand at parallel to their shoulder, because it'll hit a nerve and it'll cause pain in their shoulder. So make sure you have their hand and elbow below their shoulder, okay, as much as you can, and ideally having their elbow supported by the table, so that when you bring the wrist and stretch the wrist back, it doesn't hyperextend their elbow, okay? So it really helps to isolate the forearm here. And what you'll do is, I'm sitting on a chair. This is more comfortable for me personally, but if you don't have one, you can go into a lunge position, okay? And then you want to bring the same hand, you want to bring your left hand in this position and place each finger on the same finger that you're stretching, okay? So it'll look exactly like this, okay? So I have the exact same finger, pinky, thumb on all of his fingers, okay? Now you want to push his wrist up, almost like you're opening up his wrist from behind with this hand. So you'll have all your fingers on the same fingers he does. Then you'll push his wrist up into your hand with the opposite hand, kind of like this, if you can see it, okay? And then so you're kind of opening up his hand, and then you push back towards him, okay? How's that feel there?
Good right there.
It's good there. So you're applying two forces of pressure here. You're not just pushing forward, you're also pulling back, so you're opening up his wrist at the same time, okay? So you're applying facets of stretch here, multiple pressure. So this one you will have some difficulty depending on the client's hand that you're working with. Sometimes the hand is too big and you're not actually able to put all the fingers on each other. So you can cross them over like this, and then you can push all of them at the same time forward while supporting it with the opposite hand. So you can just kind of push the wrist forward like that, as opposed to lining up all the fingers. So lining up the fingers feels the best, because then you're stretching each individual finger at the same time as stretching the hand and stretching the wrist that gets into the forearm. So that's the ideal situation, but if you're having a tough time lining up the fingers, then just simply kind of put your hands across his like this, and then you can just push forward. So you're applying more forward force, and then still have the hand behind it, so you can stretch the fingers and forearms and hands as much as you can, in addition to stretching the wrist. Okay, now that's the one direction we're going to go. Now the other direction is going to be stretching the wrist downward. Okay, so same position, you're just going to push forward on the wrist with the hand. Instead of having the hand open, you're going to have the hand closed. Okay, so you can do it in this direction here, or you can rotate it down and push it down into the table here like this. Now this one, you're not going to apply a lot of pressure. Just kind of get to that first point of resistance, and then communicate to the client and see if you can go a little bit further. How's that feel there?
That's good right there.
So usually the first point of resistance into this one will be sufficient, okay? Now having the client's arm down to their side is probably the best way to do it, because they get the most extensive stretch when you do both of these. Another variation is if you want to just stay standing up, keep their elbow on the side here, push forward on the wrist for this version, for the top of the wrist, and then to get the hand and fingers and everything, then you can open up their hand this way and then push down just straight on the table. So the benefit is you don't have to go in a kneeling position. It's a little bit easier as a therapist, but it doesn't provide as great of a stretch to the client, but it is very good altogether for them.